Greetings traveler, Challenger here. Welcome to another video. Today I am playing Diablo 2 Resurrected as a Paladin, but will do a bit of a theme run as a Holy Martyr, meaning that only auras used will be defensive ones, and for my attack of choice I will pick Sacrifice and its synergies. No idea how good or bad it will be, as most defensive auras are used rather rarely, and Sacrifice isn't really a skill that builds are made around. So in my mind this works as a concept similar to my melee necromancer. But without further ado, let the challenge begin. Rules. Playing as Holy Martyr Paladin using Sacrifice and only defensive auras, using charms and sockets, run ends with killing Bale on hell. This is solo self-found, no shared stash used. This is also hardcore run, 1 life, no deaths. Now I wanted to do this run with only defensive auras, but I have a suspicion that it might not be a good idea past normal, as I would just struggle and things would take ages to kill. So I opted for a bit of a compromise in here. So I think it is pretty obvious why I chose this combination, but let's do it step by step. At level 2, Sacrifice is available to me, and it deals massive amount of damage with increased attack rating at cost of health, and it has 2 synergies. That is it for my attack. Time to take Aura, and choice is clear. That would be Prayer, which provides healing at cost of mana, and I think you already see a connection here. This Aura is a bit problematic, because it is still draining mana even if you are at full health, but that doesn't matter for now. So in the past I thought, man, Sacrifice is stupid, it literally kills you, but now after so many different melee builds, I think that it is amazing. You can use it as long as you live. Your efficiency depends on the fact that you are alive and do not need to concern yourself with mana potions at the earlier stages of the game. After getting what I need from the contest in form of F and Toll, I went back to town to get the best weapon for now. That is of course Scepter, but being a paladin oriented weapon it can spawn with something like this, with +3 to Sacrifice, further increasing my power. Smith got squashed and shortly after I hit level 12. And now I can take another aura that interests me. That is Cleansing. It reduces the time or poison and curses when active, and it provides life from prayer. And as you can see, it does not require mana to work, so it already is so much better and more interesting. With everything I have now, I feel kind of overpowered. Sure, this is still normal and I would get much more power if I had Might Aura, but still. Andariel is just melting by looking at her, and she is kind enough to drop a unique ring, Nagel ring, pretty bad roll on magic, fine, but still, nice. In spirit, pun not intended, to keep only using defensive auras, I hired Kasim with Defiance, to boost defense for our party of 2. With that, we quickly dispatched Radamant and got rightful rewards in form of book skill. I really like Cleansing Aura. You are hardly ever under any influence of curses or poison. It is dismissed so fast that no real damage is ever caused. So many times I am using Cure Rune Word just for this, but in this case it will be much more useful later on. On level 18 I have access to Vigor Aura, which improves run and walk speed, and I will not say no to a brilliant stealth armor. It's just too good to pass on, and it would be completely fine with just that boost to speed. Next I sworn Magosler for the Staff of Kings and moved to Claw Viper Temple to steal the amulet, and got the sun to shine again, only to move to Arcane Sanctuary to bonk the summoner on his head. Now for Duriel, I switched to two-hander to rack up the damage, and fight is just as annoying due to constant freeze and knockback. But damage at this point is very high, and it didn't take long to slice and dice this bug to pieces. My attributes points are spread pretty thin between strength, dexterity and vitality, and if I could take the points I have in energy, I would do that in a heartbeat too. So I gladly welcome 20 life from the Jade figurine and proceed to rob spiders from the Eye of Khalim. Most of the times Ormus isn't giving anything of value for Guildbean quest, and while this time what I got would be much better for caster, it is still not that bad. So far Sacrifice is doing Lord's work just fine with a high damage weapon it usually results in one hit kill, but the defensive aura portion of this build is just offsetting what I am losing from it and not really sustaining me in the fights. But because auras can be stacked, this should pick up much more in higher difficulties. Council got smashed, or rather sacrificed, on the altar of progress, as they are only thing that stands between me and Mephisto himself. So I guess that boss will not be pleased that they were not able to stop an idiot with a hammer and a lot of perseverance. Lord of Hatred is still a rather easy fight, but I must give it to him that he hits much harder than Duriel had. So once in the fight I had to open the inventory to restock my belt with potions, as he brought me down to double digits several times. Looking for Isual while I already found a gate to next area and souls shooting at me, yeah, big entertainment, and still the worst part is that it looks like I am hammering his ass with a giant meat tenderizer. Angel chops for dinner, I suppose. We bullied Hephaestus to give up his hammer, and unfortunately I only got a Tal rune from the forge, so we quickly proceed to Chaos Sanctuary to clean some filth from the land. At level 24 there is another aura available to me to complete the overall setup. That is Meditation, which provides increased mana regeneration and, much like cleansing, also provides healing from the prayer. After dispatching Diablo's henchmen in form of Grand Vizier, Lord Desace and Infector of Souls, it was time for Lord of Terron, and as previously mentioned, I feel way too squishy for this part of the game. So I had at least 5 near-death experiences, mostly because of my own stupidity, but no less to enormous amount of damage this bastard can dish out with his Firestorm and Lightning Breath attacks. He dropped a unique Spatum Lance of Yagai and set military pick Tancred's Crowbill. Got a Shank the Shank on my way to Frigid Highlands, where barbarians are idling in the cages instead of trying to break out, so a hero in me decides to free them out of true altruism. No, of course not. I did it for 2 reasons. First is the reward from Qualkek in form of Ral or Tal runes, but second is the ability to hire barbarian mercenaries. Since I will be doing an Aurabot style tank, I think it will be a good idea to have a berserker that can deal a lot of damage beside me. Frozenstein got hammered. I freed Anya and got Scroll from Mala to boost my resistances. Also, I got a very nice shield from Anya that is boosting all my resistances by 15, with an even larger boost in lightning and poison resistance. Pretty standard Ancients fight. I divided them right at the beginning and proceed to bash them one by one. Also, it doesn't happen often to me that I am able to fight them divided like this. Most of the time I can separate one and then fight 2 others. Guess I was lucky. I am clearly in need of some attack rating, as half of my attacks are not reaching Bale at all. But this difficulty I just want to get past to get to the good stuff. Fun fact, thanks to the healing from Cleansing Aura, my mercenary did not die once in this fight and was quite a menace through and through. Bale dropped a unique brandy stock, Blood Thief. Finishing normal with level 30 with most of my stats put into Vitality and Strength. I took a couple points into Prayer and maxed out Sacrifice. As for the gear, there is not much to talk about at this point, aside from Stealth Armor of course. Another Den of Evil sweep, and with that skill point from Akara I can finally take Holy Shield. It provides additional smite damage, defense and block chance for set duration. Incredibly powerful defensive tool. While looking for the Forgotten Tower, a unique bow shield dropped, that is Wall of the Eyeless. Great early choice for casters. Okay, this is wild. I went back to get Scroll and Treefeast dropped 2 pairs of rare Greaves, and upon identifying, they are almost exactly the same. The ones that has cold resistance and others fire. I didn't see anything like this before. My gear, as you saw by the end of normal, is atrocious. My merc literally has wide grade level items, so I will spend some time here to only acquire runes but also some levels. While farming I found a unique razor bow rip hook, And they also at the same time Griswold's Edge, which is pretty bad, and Saigon's Wrap Belt. I got exactly what I needed in form of Soul, Full and Shale, and even an IO rune. Now I am ready to get some bases to get all the rune words I need. But that is easier said than done. I could do some items that would be suboptimal for the time, but I don't want to waste runes. Smith was kind enough to get me this 4 open socket battle sword. That is nice. I could do a spirit, but that particular rune ward does not really have any enhanced damage or boost to physical damage that sacrifice relies on, so that's a skip. Andariel fight isn't anything special. My damage is bad, or even very bad, but it does not stop us to put a nail in the coffin of the lesser evil. But fun fact is that cleansing is so strong that often I was able to clear the poison before the next application, making me take less damage. Before moving on, I need to prepare for the next level. I found this white bill in the beginning of this difficulty, and since it can have maximum of 4 open sockets, I used Larzuk's quest to do so and create an insight rune ward, which will be my weapon of choice for the coming levels. So now let me show you the difference. Normally with cleansing I am getting about 20 life per tick, but with meditation on top I am getting almost 50. On top of that I'm getting massive weapon that is already great, but it can be better. But for that I will need a free open socket helmet that I do not have right now. So because my merc yearns for upgrade, let's do a King's Great Sword. Ral Thul. It's not the best weapon ever, but it will help with damage and self-sustain. With the new equipment we made our way to Magosler to get the staff, followed by storming the Temple of the Vipers to steal the amulet, then freed the poor summoner from his mortal coil, only to arrive at Talrasha's tomb to fight Duriel. Fight itself is rather slow paced, but thanks to healing from all auras it is rather easy to keep my merc alive, while cycling bosses hits between 2 of us. Even draining my whole supply of potions at the end, I was able to finish him without much of a hitch. He dropped set cuirass, Hemosus Adamant, which I will gladly wear. A set amulet, which is Vidala's Snare, and a unique giant sword, Kinemil's All. Now let's go to cuirass. I forgot Radamant. Mistake rectified. It's a good thing that at least I cannot miss Jade figurine. With another go to Spider's Cave and taking the eye, Sazark dropped a unique short war bow that is Hellclap. As name suggests, it is a fire-centric piece of equipment, and quickly after that, in the depths of Flair's jungle, I found a unique amulet which turned out to be a Mahim Oak's Curio. For Gitbin, Ormus gave me a quite good ring, lots of attack rating, double resistances, some damage reduction and poison length reduction. There is also mana stolen per hit, but in current situation this is useless. God damn it, fuck that! Another great drop happened in Lowered Kurast, as unique barbed club hit the ground. It is Flesh Render, massive damage and chances for crushing blow, deadly strike, open wounds, and prevent monster heal. Monstrous weapon. Such shame that Merc cannot use this. So with everything done prior to the boss, I took that Flesh Render to the very halls of Durance of Hate to test it. Only problem is that I cannot reliably hit Mephisto with it, since my attack rating without insight is non-existent. So I switched back to my trusty polearm to sacrifice portion of my life, and I can tell however slow that build is and however low damage I am doing, there is no way at this point I am even remotely in danger. Lord of Hatred dropped amazing unique gothic shield that is the Ward, with massive resistances. Yeah, I love almost dying to barrage of lightning that I cannot really react to, but thankfully one by one I was able to take them out and deal with the usual. Now I already maxed out prayer and sacrifice, so now really the only choice left are sacrifice synergies in form of redemption and fanaticism, since I cannot really boost healing through hard points anymore. seems that I am getting quite a lot of curious items in this run, and this one I don't even recognize a unique and ethereal build, Black Leech Blade. Gorm / Hephaestus back with such joy I was thinking he was doing some sort of a carving, but with an absolute joy I am reporting that reward was worth it, as I got a pull rune. It took quite a long time to clear Sanctuary, my attacks are way too weak and unreliable, and I desperately need a better equipment to make this work. In the encounter with Infector of Souls, he pulled some kind of insane power move, almost ending my life in one hit, which definitely took me by surprise. Diablo was similar to Mephisto, although this one is hitting much harder, so I really tried to make Flesh Render and Ward combo work, as even though I am getting less healing, I am also taking much less damage, and when I hit the crushing blow things started to get moving, but when is the keyword here. So once again I cycled to get as much from the current setup until the devil was dead. He dropped a unique Bardiche that is Demox Hue. My god, what a drop. A white heraldic shield with 39 all resistance boost. I can take it to Larzuk to put in 4 open sockets in, and I have a spirit just like that. So now with Shank killed, I have another possibility to do so. So because I still need 3 open socket helmet, this might be a time to use this one. We killed Frozenstein to free Anya yet again. I cannot afford to miss out on free resistances, and I found this superior winged helm and decided to not wait anymore. Get me 3 open sockets to create a Cure Rune Ward, and now the setup is somewhat complete. Currently I am getting Meditation from Insight, Cleansing from the Cure, and Prayer from, well, myself. So now to test it, and it seems that I am getting about 75 life per tick. That still can be improved with +2 skills, but at this point I am lacking those items. Going through Glacial Trail I found yet another Nagel Ring, slightly better than the first one, and soon after I found myself on the Ariad summit fighting ancient barbarians once again. While Madak was a complete joke followed by a bit tougher Korlik, Talik was kind of tough. He killed my Merc and sapped my supply of healing potions. Fortunately, in this situation I can just run around for a couple of seconds to heal to the max and then hit him again and again until his inevitable fall. This is super interesting. You can see how many things are hitting me, and almost all the time I am affected by poison, and I am not even using single potion to heal in this situation. Don't mind the fact that I am also not doing much to them, but that is a different story. Just before Bale, I created a strength scimitar for my Merc Barbarian, so he could chunk boss's health with that crushing blow. Right out of the gate he summoned his clone to distract my Gorm. He freaking knew he has a boss slaying sword on him, but as soon as he despawned, it was really hard not to kill him. Crushing blow is doing its work, and all the auras are keeping us very much alive. He dropped a unique Joe staff that is Razor Switch. Finishing Nightmare with level 56 with majority of my attributes into Vitality, I maxed out Prayer and Sacrifice with Redemption halfway finished. Gear-wise, my Merc has King's Grace and Strength, while I am rocking that Cure, Insight and Mahim Obscuria, and generally pieces that keeps me alive. Damage is atrocious. That can be attributed to the fact that Insight rolled poorly and almost every single item is not really giving me any damage boost. So now I need to concentrate to get better gear and some levels before entering Hell. I made a switch to different barbarian, the one with battle cry and two-handed weapon, as I need some way to improve my attack rating. During farming I also picked Salvation Aura, which improves drastically all resistances except poison, for me and my party. Also Redemption was mainly maxed because it was a better synergy to sacrifice, but it also really useful in combat to trigger it momentarily to regain the bulk of the resources. I hit level 71 and decided to go to low level areas of Act 1 of Hell, since I still need some elite base for my insight. It was a best bet to get one, because you can see the damage and clear speed is just non-existent. I mean, I experienced worse in those challenges, but this is somewhere near the very bottom. I picked up a rare staff in sole purpose of selling it for profit, but then I saw that it has teleport charges, and since I do not have any other source of damage than physical, I will keep this one. You don't have to tell me that I am making this harder on myself than I should be. I could just pick up the Flesh Render together with Spirit Shield, and because of the Battle Cry, I could reliably hit everything. But you know what? I like the playstyle that I have. I have been working for the last two difficulties. That is why it is actually important to me to see this through in this current setup. Finally, I got a Thresher, and I kid you not, this took me 3 days of trying to find it. I was this unlucky. But now I need to pray to actually get 4 open sockets, and yes! First try, thank God! Another insight now, and this one is much better. But I need to respect to wield it, so let's do that. Now, it is amazing. Triple the damage. I reallocated some points and put more into Vitality, but also skills that were put into Holy Shield went into Fanaticism for more damage to sacrifice. I also used my imbues for some better boots, as I still got a pair of magic ones from way back when, and got a pretty decent ones with double resistances, faster run walk, faster hit recovery, and some dexterity. Smith isn't a good show of my power, as he had a stone skin, yet he still died relatively quickly. And in all this farming mess, I completely forgot about Deckard, so I paid him a visit, for which Akara rewarded me with a quite good ring for a change. With all that suffering and wasted time, although this isn't the right word, we managed to get to Andariel. Gear is still not the greatest, but at least we can kill something. My merc has strength made in Legend Sword, so his effectiveness against bosses is quite good, and with all the auras, keeping him alive is not really that hard even in hell. You see now how this works in full. If there is elemental damage, I am using Salvation to mitigate damage. Once there are enough corpses, I am clearing them with Redemption to regain lots of resources, and then going back into the fray. My new staff has been very useful in both Maggot Lair and Claw Viper Temple. I did as little fighting as possible, and since I don't really have a way to deal with physical immunities, I guess this is the only way thus far. Same thing with Arcane Sanctuary. I almost passed the opportunity to leave the summoner alone, but I hate the guy. He's crazy and he deserves to be beheaded by the Holy Reaper. With Crushing Blow and enough healing between us two, Duriel isn't really that problematic. It is important to trade his attacks between us, so there will be enough time for each of other to heal, and damage is good enough to put him down once and for all. He dropped some low-level unique Stout Nail Spike Club and another Saigon's Belt. I came to the conclusion that this build would be so much better with Zeal, because even with enormous damage and ability to regenerate, most damage I receive isn't really gradual, it's rather bursty. It helps of course to have large health pool as there is a larger margin of error, but still. Also, check out this sick jewel I found, it's almost an Amrun. Would be very nice to find some damage reduction, or I could resign from Cure Helmet in place of Bulwark, but I am stubborn as hell, so instead I will just create body armor, and not the one that I actually want, but the one I afford. Peace. Is it stupid? Yes. Do I have resources for something else? Absolutely not. Ability to summon Valkyrie should help us push through, and slow missiles have a physical damage reduction component when activated. Maybe that will help somehow. There is one thing I don't currently like. That is the fact that my gear is subpar and salvation is mandatory not to die. I would love to have prayer online for triple aura healing, but that would be like shooting an arrow in the knee. At least sewers were kind to me, as I was teleported away to get into level 2 to grab the heart. So to Travincal we move, and Council was not much of an issue. I have my resistances maxed, constant healing, and 2 tanks on the front. What I don't have is decent damage, so everything is happening slow. Turtle speed style. Once again, as it is kind of a tradition in these melee-centric challenges, bosses are the least problematic part. Crushing Blow is doing all the work, and it is really hard to die if you just need to keep track of one source of your potential demise. By the time I hit this place, hatred for myself is at all-time high. I cannot believe I thought of this run and said, yeah, this is a good idea, this will be fun, only to make myself miserable couple days later, and every pillow is sodden from my tears. Right before Hephasto I got a Lamrune drop, but I had to do a tactical retreat in order to clear some rubble to get it, and in the most unbelievable turn of events, one of the monsters dropped me a unique Hydra bow, and you know what it is. It is the legendary Wind Force. God damn it, I didn't drop this ever, and it is happening on one of the most painful runs ever. Once I cleared enough to deal with Hephasto, turned out that he was physical immune. So my instinct told me that I want to be done with this run as soon as possible, so I went to Chaos Sanctuary, slowly, but in a very precise manner. I cleared this place, got through Vizier, then the Says, and then thought crept up in my mind that idiot Infector can sometimes spawn with Stone Skin, making him immune to physical damage. Why have I thought that? No idea, but to my dismay, it is exactly what happened. I wanted to cry, I wanted to give up, but no. I got my fetid sprinkler from the stash that has a chance to proc the Crepify that can break the immunity, and created a spirit shield for some protection, and went blasting. It took me 15 minutes of just swinging my scepter in front of this guy's face to have a 5 seconds to deal some damage. This was the true boss of this place. Diablo is, well, the owner of this place, and he is a mandatory boss. Yeah, that sums it pretty nicely, I guess. Moving on. Harrogath, the final stand against the forces of evil. Land of the barbarians I need to traverse to put an end to the ultimate evil. This accursed run. Fortunately for me, there is not much need to deal with any resistance here. Just a slight nod to everybody as I blink through this desolate wasteland and enter Ariad's summit. This build excels with dealing with tough enemies, if they are by their own. So this fight is not really that different from Act bosses, although Ancients themselves can have a bit of annoying modifiers, few resets, and I am good. Even though one of them has cursed, it does not faze me that much, since cleansing is still in place and healing in this situation is basically infinite, thus making this whole ordeal rather trivial. I'm not sure what is this challenge anymore. Luck was normally not really on my side for the majority of it, and suddenly I am getting Wind Force, and now set Sacred Armor, which is Immortal King's Soul Cage. Nasty drop. Finally, at long last, the one last battle against the Lord of Destruction. This game doesn't have good boss fights, and arguably Bale is the best one from pure design perspective. But doing all these runs, I've come to realization that I also hated the most. Not only he does a lot of damage, burns mana, which in this case is actually irrelevant, slows everything down, but the worst part is his cloning and summoning of tentacles that are leading my helpers astray. Every time I have to deal with him, it is such a headache, but he already pushed my patience to the brim, making me so angry that I depleting my health potions, and I did not go back to town to replenish them as I was hell bent on finishing this fight. Ending the challenge at level 78 was a bad idea. Most of the points went into strength and vitality, but also some dexterity for the fresher. I maxed out prayer and redemption, but also put some points into salvation, as in the end I was using it the most. Maxed sacrifice and got however many points I have left into fanaticism, since it was another synergy to sacrifice. Gear wise, my merc has Hemosus, Adamant, Strength Sword and Bulwark. My gear is all over the place, and I think that the inside fresher is the only good part of it. I could not get better belt than Saigon's in my situation, and thus peace armor is such an oddball. This was a weird challenge. Part of it I really liked, as sacrifice can feel very powerful to an extent. It has a massive single target damage potential with negligible drawback that can easily be offset by either auras or just life leech. Its ability to scale weapon damage is immense, but there is still issue of attack rating, which I had to fix using battle cry from mercenary, and clear speed overall is rather dire in this particular setup. As for the healing auras, for normal and especially nightmare, I think they are broken. At no point in those two difficulties I had even a remote threat looming over my head. Everything was a bit drawn out in terms of combat, yet I could always bounce back, clear the debuffs and regenerate. In Hell, however, that was a constant struggle. Lack of overall health pool and resistances, meaning I have to use salvation, made it much worse. My gear did not allow me to get more auras, so most of the time it was just an attempt at survival and methodic pushing forward that carried me. Still, I have to admit that cleansing especially is just amazing, and this whole build can be done on Act 2 Mercenary, where I think it sits much more comfortably than on player character. Yet going back to my point, it is crazy good at keeping any summons and helpers alive. The ease of them just tanking bosses and keeping the front line is astounding. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more games and gaming challenges. Like it if you liked it and subscribe for more. Challenger departs.